the feature match area.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Yeah, that
Good
works
enough.
for me. Eric's draws this match have been particularly subpar. I mean, he's just had too many lands too often, and even though I think there's a lot of interesting counterplay to how this matchup ends up working out, but when he draws 6 lands to his opponent's 3, it's just really difficult because all these cards trade so easily. Very few. It's not like you're playing a Siege Rhino and your opponents trade 2 card spread. It's like you're all playing X1s and burn spells, and they all just trade 1 for 1. Neither player really can draw extra cards unless you draw too many lands. Then it's like you drew too few cards.
Right. Well, 4th land from Dennis. No pre-combat plays. He's going to pump Fire Drinker Satyr.
Oh,
I take 1, you take 1. That's bold.
That's ambitious because now he's just going to get it stoked. I think I'd just be content with the 2 there. So if Dennis hits a couple land in a row too, Eric could be right back into this. I mean, it's not like either player's dying all that rapidly.
True. I mean, the board is down to a 1/1.
Yeah. Here's another 1/1.
Which one did he draw?
Frenzied Goblin, but there's no way Eric can just run a Dragon Mantle, is there?
He's going for Dragon Mantle. Now, if you're Dennis, you kill it as a response, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. You deny him the card.
It fizzles the Dragon Mantle. You don't get the card draw. You effectively 2 for 1 your opponent with that Lightning Strike.
I would have been very tempted to just wait a turn there.
Eric has a 3rd Dragon Mantle in his hand.
Yeah,
he's just been desperate for creatures to point Dragon Mantle at.
He is Dragon Mantle flooded, and actually this view looks pretty good.
Yeah, this works.
But even then, I mean, if Dennis didn't do anything and had 3 cards in hand, you have to put at least one of them on being a burn spell. It's really hard not to.
So what would you do? Would you keep Dragon Mantling Dennis's creatures?
Well, you can't really do that until you have a removal spell.
Board.
So I would have played the Frenzied Goblin, just passed, and then if it didn't die, and then on my turn I drew another creature, I'd consider trying to run out the mantles. If I drew nothing, you might have to at that point, but
yeah. You would have waited a turn.
I would have waited at least a turn.
Well, here's Frenzied Goblin, and
now,
this time he is going to wait.
He is going to wait.
Dragon Mantle looks really bad in this matchup.
It's looking pretty bad. If both players board up 5 more burn spells, 6 more burn spells,
yeah.
I mean, needing your opponent to be tapped out just to cycle your card on a card that's probably going to die in a turn or 2 anyway doesn't seem great.
There. Foundry Street Denizen might attack. All right. Pre-combat, another Foundry Street Denizen, so 2/1 coming over. Eric should just block and trade.
I imagine so.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's at low enough life total, that's what he wants to do. Eric just hoping Eric could just draw a bunch of Stokes. That's one way to win this game. And once again, Hordeling Outburst would be fantastic. So Eric's got some good draws left in his deck, and he still got a decent amount of time. Though Dennis, given that he's got a burn spell in his hand, that puts Eric on a pretty fast clock here. 1 a turn is more than it sounds like.
Doesn't sound like very much.
No, but when your opponent's at 9 and you have 4 and 3 damage burn spells in your hand, it actually adds up pretty quickly.
Eric falls to 8. Draws. Hordeling Outburst.
Oh, there we go. I mean, now Dennis is likely going to need to burn Eric out because trading 1 for 1 when your opponent has 3 extra 1/1s is really tough.
And Drayer's Dragon Mantle.
I like running this out more because now you're at such low life that Dennis could just conceivably burn you out. So, making him Lightning Strike one of your tokens is just going to end up being better. I think.
I'm with you. I'm fine with that trade if I'm Eric.
Yeah. You traded a card and a third of a card for a card, but more importantly, you safeguarded your life total.
Exactly.
Here's where Dennis needs to draw Scouring Sands. Though if he had that, he would have clearly cast that instead of Lightning Strike, or at least not cast Lightning Strike. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do. Foundry Street Denizen. Oh, he's got the Coordinated Assault. So Foundry Street Denizen gets blocked by the Goblin, but picks up first strike thanks to Coordinated Assault.
Coordinated Assault makes me kind of want to wait a turn there and attack with both, and hope that Eric does double block. I mean, Eric might play around the Coordinated Assault. He certainly was aware of it the first game, but you might as well go for it. I mean, the trade's going to be open next turn anyway.
Eric is going to attack with this Goblin. No.
If he doesn't have anything, he can't really do that. This mirror
Combat
is
Frenzied
just...
Goblin. Here come a pair of Foundry Street Denizens at 2-1. Yeah, you got to block one. That's clearly the play. Take 2 and hope to trade.
Yeah.
Take 2 and trade.
I mean, that holding outburst was fantastic. It still doesn't make up for the extra 2 or 3 lands that Eric has drawn over the course of the game, especially since he drew his, earlier in the game and got behind because of it. Whereas
Yeah, and he's gotten 2 Dragon Mantles fizzled.
Right. He was usually down like 4 or 5 cards, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, the Dragon Mantle cards feel like almost half cards since the lands are blank.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they're 2/3 of a card or something.
Swiftspear's not a bad one.
Oh. Attacking.
Yeah, it feels like a Searing Blood here. It actually could work out pretty well. But he can't block anyway.
Yeah, he can't block because of the Frenzied Goblin, so he may as well attack. That's fair.
It looks like Dennis has a Stoke. There's no way he doesn't, given.
How quick that attack was.
Yeah.
Stoke the flames. Burn your face. Mono Red does what Mono Red does. Some applause from the crowd as Denis Ulanov moves into the finals of Grand Prix Los Angeles. 2-0. Yeah, there you get a good look at Dennis. Looks pretty happy with himself. I would be.
He looks satisfied.
The Grand Prix Moscow t-shirt's a nice one.
Looks like we've still got the other match outstanding, Carlo against Daniel here.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll go get our live look in over there. Denis Ulanov wins 2-0, goes to the finals. Our other match, Carlo Faustus and Daniel Scheid. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing these names too badly. Abzan mid-range versus Green-Red Monsters. We've seen the Green-Red Monsters is up a game, right?
It looked like it was up a game, or it looked
was
like
winning.
It looked like it was winning.
Yeah, it was winning when we left.
And actually, it looked like an attack for lethal. And actually,
Is this still game 1?
No, this is going to be game 2. Looks like the monstrous Stormbreath Dragon puts him pretty far ahead.
Oh, wow.
This game as well, with a lot of Sarkans and a lot of options, and his opponent on not a lot of cards.
Yeah, last game it was a monstrous Polukranos. This time, monstrous Stormbreath. Yeah, those cards may be from last block, but they're still really good. And there's just a lot going on in Standard. Oh, there's a Sarkhan too.
Well, now there is, and I like
Even the Rattle Claws.
I always
getting in
love
there.
the like attack with this, attack with this. Oh, okay, yeah, attack with everything. It's like Sarkin and the Rattleclaw and the Corsair, by the way they're grouped, it appears that they're going after the Sorin. So Sorin might be going down no matter what happens. Stormbreath
Okay.
headed straight at Carlo there.
All right. Well, Sorin does leave 2 vampires behind. It's not nothing.
And then we've got the 1/1 Wasp ready to block and protect Sarkin from any attacks from those vampires. Light throws are actually pretty close if these are what we've got, because Carlo just took a decent amount of damage, but I imagine he gained some life off of an earlier Sorin activation.
What was the card that got played? Did you get it?
It looks like utter end on the Sarkin.
Right, but what was the creature?
That I don't know.
The giant
looks like
rectangle of glare.
Looks like a Fleece Main line if it costs 2. Or
It must have cost 2.
Or a Sylvan Caryatid. But it's going to be tough because right now Carlo just, is just going to get pummeled by the Stormbreath Dragon. Like there's just no way around that. This turn it's going to either eat a vampire or drop him to 1. And Daniel's got a number of cards in hand considering his options. He just wins if he has Crater Claws, for example. Another Hornet Queen probably does the trick, or at least gets pretty close. Though I guess he has to be worried about end hostilities. That is the kind of card that could get him here if he overextends. So now one of those vampires is dying no matter what, because that is a lethal attack.
That is a lethal attack, right? Which means that Carlo is obliged to block the Stormbreath, which means it's okay that the Wasp is no longer defending Sarkin.
And even though Daniel does have another Hornet Queen in hand, I could very well see just not playing it. I mean,
wait.
You're so far ahead here, you don't really need to add another creature to the board. Might as well add a Polukranos, though.
Wow.
Then you could also just use Pelucranos right now to kill the other vampire. That might not be horrible.
What's the drawback to letting Carlo untap?
You get more options, and it's not like the main reason I wouldn't. I mean, normally you just want to go for things when your opponent's tapped out. Is that getting your Pelucranos killed just doesn't matter. Your Storm Breath's the threat that's going to end the game. But if you think there's no better targets to be coming along, you might as well do it now. I mean,
and that's what he decides.
It's kind of end hostilities or bust, and even if Carlo has end hostilities, Hornet Queen will be coming out next turn.
Attack into your Pelucranos and trigger the raid on Wingmate Rock. It's still not good enough. There is the hand. Daniel Scheid, green-red monsters versus mono-red.
This is not the matchup I would have picked, if I were guessing for the finals.
Who had green-red versus mono-red in your pool?
Yeah, I mean,
You predicted this Grand Prix finals. I don't know. You are a very smart man. Cool stuff, though. Yeah, these decks are very, very interesting. Denis Ulanov